directorial debut for winning the grand jury at the Gasparia International Film Festival. I love the film. It reminds me of the 90s and the 80s of that campy horror. And because this is your directorial debut, why a horror movie? Like, why One Night Only?
Well, I would call Shaky Shivers a horror comedy, right? With the operative being comedy. Well, it was also Laura, it was really timing, like I was looking for the first film that I was going to direct, and I'm a product of the Sundance film festivals, and I felt like is like a coming of age, real personal, like dramatic story, something that I want to do as my first film. And yes, and I have those stories in the pipeline as a director, but I didn't feel like I had the skill set to execute that film yet, and also the timing, we shot Shaky Shivers during the height of the pandemic, and I did not want to do a film, at that moment that made me sad. Like everybody was going through such a tough time. I just wanted to laugh, and so, it wasn't like a really complex decision. It's like when I read the script, my writing partner for the past 15 years, Aaron Strongoni, wrote this script with his buddy Andy McAllister to celebrate the era of practical effects, right? And in the horror genre, which they love. And but they also, wrote characters, that so Andy, just to give you context, at that time had an 8 or 9 year old daughter, and he wanted to share his love affair for the practical effects of his childhood, but didn't want to scare the bejesus out of him.
Mhm.
So he created this story about the journey of two friends, being comfortable in their skin, being okay with not being the most popular person in town, not coming from having everything, and just being okay with having one partner in crime, like literally being comfortable in your skin. And that was my North Star. I was like, this is a story and like a theme that I can wake up in the morning and fight for. um, so the horror part of it was just, it's like, hey, that's great, but that wasn't like what I was thinking. I want to go make a horror movie, because I don't think Shaky Shivers is scary at all. Like nobody watches it and goes, "Wow, that was scary." They just think it's hilarious. It's like they refer to like it's Bill and Ted, right? It's like Wayne's World with two doofuses going on this adventure, and I'm like, exactly, that's really what it is, So, um,
Well,
yeah.
I know you directed the film for creativity, and in your interview, you talked about your supporting roles in the past. And why didn't you give yourself a bigger role? I need to know about Roger because, in your own words, Roger?
Well, I did not want Roger in the movie. So Roger was never in the script. Like that was done on the last day, and most of it was just improv, right? And they had to like it was like pulling teeth to get me in front of the camera, because, you know, I have so many things to worry about as a director, and I'm not a great director, and I'm not, I still have so much to learn about acting. I'm not even great at one thing, so to try to do both like doesn't make any sense for me, right? And but there is a business side to filmmaking, and the producers kept saying, if you're in the movie, it's like if you have a cameo at least, it might help the business side of it. And I really did not want to do it. And the only reason I did it was because I said, okay, I'll do this like character, but I get to make it up. And I worked on this TV show, Obi-Wan Kenobi, in the Star Wars franchise. And the lady that was in charge of all the eyes for the creatures, for all the, all the characters, created this like lazy eye contact lens for me, right? And it was actually like kind of a joke. And I still have it. Like I had that eye, and I was like, okay, if I get to use this eye finally, and then just have fun with it, then I'll try. And I was actually trying to cut it out of the movie the whole time, because I was like, this character that makes no sense. Like, why am I in the movie? And also I wanted to give, the spotlight to, the leads in our film, Brooke and VyVy did such a fantastic job. If without them, this movie would not be what it is, because we had very little resources, to make this movie come to life. And I really had to lean on them. And then me trying to like take any of the, spotlight away from them. It's like, I didn't want to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, it all the credit to them because they really brought the characters to life. And without their performance, I don't think the movie would work. So.
Well, with this being your first film, will we see more films in the process for you? Because I know this is your first, and it's a learning curve. Will we see more films from you? And do you like the way it's presented in this format, the one night only situations?
Well, I'll answer that question first. The one night only thing. Of course, as a filmmaker, you would love to have, like, months in the theater so people could come and enjoy and you can celebrate. But the fact that we're even in a theater, like it was something that I did not even fathom. I was like, this will maybe just go to streaming or whatnot. But then the fact that, our distribution team, Cineverse is supporting us in this effort to like, share this opportunity to actually have it in 700 theaters, I think, don't quote me on that number, but nationwide. And even if it's one night, it's like, what a milestone in my life, and my career to like, I get to celebrate this movie with people, in theater. And if it does well, and it's the victory is sweeter when you earn it. Is like, if we get the support and people are actually coming to watch the movie, it might continue. Maybe not 700 theaters, but even if it continued in a few hundred theaters, but it's show business, Laura. You has to, these movies have to make money. So if people come, and it's making money, it'll continue. But I'm so grateful that our distribution team is even considering allowing this opportunity because it's not cheap to get these movies in the theaters, right?
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful for that. And to answer the first part of your question, yes, after Shaky Shivers, I feel like directing, is, my calling, and it does give me purpose as an artist, and it can fulfill all those things that I felt like I was missing as an actor. Like I don't feel like I've had the opportunities that I wish for as an actor in terms of the roles that, I got to play or get to play. And even in the future, maybe that is not my journey. That is not my story to be able to play those like, three-dimensional, like really deep characters, right? And so, as I get older, I realize it's less about me and maybe, if I'm behind the camera, I can give other people those opportunities because I understand their ploy. I understand the obstacles that they're faced with. And instead of waiting around for a phone call that might never happen and then slowly decaying inside, like that light inside, that artistic like light slowly dimming away because I'm waiting for somebody else to, like, help my like, or to write my destiny. It's like as a director and writer, I realize I don't have to wait for any phone call. I can just do it myself, and yeah, sure, it's still difficult to raise money and stuff, but I have more control over it. I'm in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
so, and it's fulfilling. It's like, as I get older, I'm like, yeah, it's not about you, it's like, what is your legacy and what is your contribution to this world and even to Hollywood? It's like, if I can give, other marginalized, communities like opportunities that I never had, what a great perspective to go into filmmaking, with,
Yeah.
because, they don't have to explain themselves to me. It's like, I know what they're facing and let's create like, amazing opportunities and roles for them, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, as an actor, because like I've followed your work for years, did directing give you a different perspective and appreciation what the artistry of what it goes into? And then, you know, because you work with so many different directors, did they provide any insight for you as well?
Yeah, one of the lessons that I garnered from being behind the camera, and I spoke about it earlier actually, is that, I start I stopped taking rejection personally, because, finding, our actresses for the film was so hard. It was so hard. I mean, you would think that, oh yeah, it's going to be just, like, one casting session and you're going to find the right person. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were like fantastic, amazing, actresses that came in for the roles, but then you realize, like, like a role for, the actor is like a tailored suit. You can't just take it off the rack and it just like works. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's custom to that person, right? And then, stepping away from that and looking at myself as an actor, I am rejected 99.9% of the time. And it used to be it used to like really mess with me, because I'd be like, I'm not good enough. And it would manifest in all these insecurities, and, it's very unhealthy. It becomes a very toxic way of like seeing yourself. And I realized it's like, yeah, I'm not right for those roles. That's thus I could do it, but, whoever is, whatever vision is, like, whoever is directing the film has a certain vision, and it has to just be that tailored suit, right? So that was a great walk away, and me realizing, yeah, even on a small movie like this, like finding like the right, actors to play those roles is so, so difficult. And if you compromise it, you know, you're starting in, your foundation is like in sand. It's gonna slowly, you're gonna start sinking, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's obvious, like, we had very little, we had limited resources on Shaky Shivers. So without, VyVy and Brooke being able to, bring these words to life and, take ownership of the characters, Shaky Shivers would not be here today. It would have been shelved, and because everybody talks about, like, the chemistry is so amazing, they're so funny, but they don't talk about all the stuff we didn't have because they're focused on the performance, right? So, yeah.
Oh wow. Well, thank you so much. I love the answers, and I love how silly this movie and fun it was. And I was scared at one point, so I just want to let you know, at the zombies. Like, I was like,
Oh, you
oh,
were?
it's kinda creepy looking. It's creepy looking.
Uh,
But so thank you so, it was creepy looking. But no, thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait for everyone to see this as well.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life. Comics, movies, and TV. Yeah. Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.